Okay guys, I got a quick demo for you on Band N5. Some people had some great questions the other day, questions that I've also asked in the past. But here we have our tower over here on the left. We have 4G core, right? And we have 5G core. If we stay on the 5G core, stay on SA on our bands that we're using, we're going to use all the cool features. All the massive MIMO, the better protocols, more efficiency, higher modulation, and things like that, right? We've always been taught these last few years is N77 C-band. That's our premium. That's where we want to go. You know, that's where we want to stay, blah, blah, blah. All right, that's cool. Yes, we do. But what about if we're on cell edge? What about if we're way far away from a tower? What about if we're inside and we have to transfer over from the 5G core to the 4G core? So that's being transferred like from SA, from standalone, to NSA. We don't want to do that. As soon as we transfer our UE and connect to the 4G core, whether it be in NSA or just LTE, it doesn't matter. We're using less efficient stuff. We're not using the cool kids protocols and MIMO and GigaMIMO and beamforming and all this other cool stuff that we can do. It's said out there in the ether that you can have the same bandwidth, same band, and if you're using 5G SA, you're going to get about a 30 to 45% boost on upload and download just by using 5G. Same band, same bandwidth, everything. So in this demo, what I'm going to show you is when we're transmitting on N77 or whatever, that's okay. Remember, these towers can transmit at high power. All right, on the UE side, whether we use a phone or in our case, I'm really talking about FWA, slicing, things like that, we can only whisper this way, okay? Now think about that. Now, if I can only whisper from me to the tower or up indoors, far from the tower, whatever, I want to be able to use lower band. N77 is cool. And on N77, we do kind of a 60-40 split. It's TDD, time division duplex, okay? So you can think of it as time. 60% we're going to use for download and 40% of that time we're going to use for upload. That's pretty good. But remember, if we're using N77 and we're very far from the tower, UEs can only whisper. You're not going to use like higher modulation. You're not going to be able to transmit that much, okay? Let's just say it that way. But if you're on a lower band like N5, even though you have smaller bandwidth, N5 is like a 5x5, 10 megahertz, it'll be able to travel further. It'll be able to penetrate walls and things like that. And that's why N5 or lower band SA is important. So check out this video and this demo and you'll kind of get it. S25 here, I got a slice SIM in this thing. I got that SIM enabled. And what I want you to see here is I'm locked on band N5. So I have some special software on here where I can band lock, and I've excluded all other bands except for standalone N5. Okay, and I'm going to show you that. We're on band 5 here. See right there at the bottom, we got -76, so very good RSRP. Oh, by the way, I am further away than a C-band qualified premium slice or something like that. I'm further than that. Okay, so I'm still on SA, but I'm grabbing N5 because I'm locked on N5, or I've excluded everything else. So let's take a look here. I want to show you that we have a 10 megahertz channel. So this is FDD. These old bands are FDD. So in this PEA, we have 10 megahertz. That's a 5x5. So 5 upload, 5 download. 5 megahertz upload, 5 megahertz download. And then I want you to see down here, there's my slice, my EMBB, my NSSAI 8-1 is the first one. That's the one we're going to do the test on. This is like IMS core stuff right there. That would be like your VoLTE or Voner or things like that, where we're going to send voice over or texting or something like that. So this is the one we're going to use. And you can see we don't have any carrier aggregation going on for upload or download. And I want to talk more about that because this is really what this thing is for, this N5. So let's do a performance test. This isn't the performance channel, so to speak, but let's just see how fast we can do uploads and downloads when we're just using that little 5x5 sliver of N5 on SA. Remember, SA is the protocols, the MIMO, beamforming, all these new features of 5G are kind of coming into play. So we want to be on SA if we can. You can see downloads there. Looks like about 15, 20, 26. That's excellent. Looks like we're about the same spot for upload. Okay, I want you to think about this. If we were, let's just say I unlocked everything and grabbed N77, okay? Let's just say that. And let's say we just had one channel, all right? So we had one channel on the download, right? We're gonna get really good stuff. The tower can scream and we can hear it. My little UE here, my S25 can hear it. But the upload is gonna suffer. Remember, on N77, we're doing a 60-40 split. So we have 60% of that channel, it's TDD. So 60% of the time, let's say, is for download and 40% is for upload. But however, when we're far from the tower, we can't get much upload. We're gonna do a lower modulation. Remember, the phone here, FWA, can't scream as loud as the tower, so it's gonna suffer in modulation, RSRP and RSRQ and all that stuff. However, if we had the newer radios, which they're coming out now, where they do 2 carrier aggregation on the way up, we could have that N77, and then we can pack on N5 for another 5 megahertz of upload. And look what we're gonna get, 32, that's 33 megs upload more. That's almost what we do on the slice, right? We can just do and not even use the N77. I want you guys to understand that N5 is very, very important, especially for upload, and especially with these new modems, these new chipsets that are coming out that are gonna have the ability to do 2 carrier aggregation on the upload, all right? That's never been a thing before. All right, so hopefully this makes some sense, and hope you learned something.